Hey everybody, it's Calvin the Go here, and I am here discussing One Piece Chapter 1070, the most powerful beings in history. We have a really good chapter of One Piece today, guys. It's kind of setting up more things. I know I've been saying the word setup for the past couple of chapters, but that's really what Oda is doing. Oda in a new arc is really trying to establish us the kind of things that we're going to be seeing. He's giving us lore dumps. He's giving us a little bit of fight scenes. He's setting up future fights for the future. So all of it is just really an exciting culmination of things that coming together, right? And like the title says, the most powerful beings. It's really interesting that Oda is giving us a complete hype. Basically, this I can say this chapter is just completely hyping up what the potential, of the Seraphim could be. Because we already kind of established, oh yeah, they're super powerful already. They're just kids, but a lot of us weren't really sure if it was really going to matter, like if them being kids really matter, or is it just going to stay in that state? From the chapter, from the context clues we get from the chapter, we really can kind of see that, oh yeah, when they grow up and get to their primes per se, they're going to be even stronger. And the fact that it's already being kind of hinted that they have the potential to be the most powerful beings ever. I'm like, bro, what? Vegapunk is insane with his scientific capabilities. No one else even comes close. Not Judge, not Queen, not Caesar, not no one. No one in Mads. And speaking of Judge, Queen, Caesar, etc., on the cover page, we see what looks like they look like a crew. We see everyone together, the whole Mads team, and they all look different. We see Queen looking skinnier. We see Vegapunk with his big old head, and we see Judge looking like a straight lame. Like he does not look like I don't know what is going on there. His eyebrows are kind of curled, but it really seems like uh the all of the Vinsmoke children, like Reiju and Sanji, etc. It seems like they didn't get their curly eyebrow from Judge himself or even Sora, but I don't know if we ever saw her eyebrows. But it really seems like their eyebrow swirl become came from their lineage factor being toyed with in the womb, right? Um, so that's something that's really been. It's funny because that's something that Oda has really tried to hide, kind of like Doflamingo's eyes. We never really get to see if Doflamingo actually got to lose an eye. A lot of people say that he lost one of his eyes when he was tied up back in the day, but it's like one of those things like, oh yeah, you never see Delphi's real eyes, you never see Judge's eyebrows. It seemed like Oda always kind of had a thing that he just wanted to kind of troll the viewers with and not let everyone see it. So that's something that's interesting to me. And we also see a woman on the cover, which is really interesting. I think it seems like it's Stussy, because she was also talking to one of those underground broker guys in Whole Cake Island, talking about years ago. So it seemed like they go way back, and that same guy was the person who was actually funding the whole Mads operation, right? Um, the chapter starts off with a battle between Luffy and Lucci. Honestly, I think it's really showing us that Luffy is gapping this guy, right? And honestly, it's impressive that Lucci can even stand for a couple chapters after going against Gear 5. But I think it's obvious that he really was never going all out here. He won rather handily in this battle. Lucci also eventually was even starting to lose consciousness later on down the line. Um, I really didn't have a problem with this. I think it makes sense, and I think even if he got knocked out, Lucci would get back up just because of the prowess of the durability and the endurance of and stamina of an Awakened Zone, especially current day One Piece Awakened Zone, because we saw the Awakened Zones back in Impel Down, but that was a long time ago now. This is a current character, a current villain. This isn't like just some random scrubs who had no brains. Um, this is someone who's actually a really competent fighter. So they were able to fight for a while. And then all Jinbei and Chopper and all of them they start to escape, especially and then after Luffy beats up on Lucci a little bit, they escape as well. And as that's going on, Vegapunk was explaining a little bit more things about how it's easier to clone a Zone Delta fruit more than any of them because it's based on animals and stuff. I think it's a little bit different for like a mythical type. And he also said that Logias is like almost impossible for him to do. He really hasn't figured out how to completely clone a Logia, but he can. Obviously, we've seen him take little bits and pieces of a Logia. And then paramecia is something that he had a little whole special means of doing it. That's how you see the warlords with their little green blood wristlets. I don't even know what to call them. Basically, it like kind of it's basically you saying if you play with their lineage factor enough, you can kind of create a paramecia Velfruit power. But he didn't actually give them all of their powers, and he also isn't sure if the fruits that he has created are able to be awakened. So I wonder if that would ever mean anything for Momo. Um, we also don't even know what Momo's awakening would be because we also aren't even sure if Kaido ever used awakening, which is one of the things that people were really mad about when they saw how Lucci was able to use awakening right off the bat, right? And he is not the person who is labeled Hunter the Beast Kaido, King of the Beast, right? um, we get to see the Seraphim going crazy for a little bit, destroying all the CP agents. Honestly, that's not even impressive to me because since they're wearing the black suits, it's obvious that they're not CP0. They're CP9. They're CP7. They're CP4. They're just random CPs. These are guys that we could have taken out back in Ennis Lobby. So I don't really put much stock in that, but it's obvious that they're super powerful. We've already seen their display of power. We've seen them up against Yonko, right? We've seen them up against the whole Straya crew, just one of them. So this is something that's really impressive to me. And basically, at the end of Vegapunk's little spiel, he kind of talks about how powerful the Seraphim can be, and he basically is like, yes, these can be the most powerful beings in the history of the sea. Not just, oh, they can be super powerful. When they get to their prime, when they get to their peak, and it really, when you think about some like a Mihawk Seraphim, like imagine like a Mihawk Seraphim being like 40 years old and having all this, having like basically being like modern day Mihawk with Lunarian DNA, with potentially a Devil Fruit. You know what I'm trying to say? Like in robotics, like that is a very powerful individual. Um, and it's really cool to see because it's like these are gonna be in game opponents. Like there's no way they have to make it to the end game. They're gonna be final war opponents, and it's interesting because like Oda is really setting it up. Oda is not playing around when he's going with this hype because it's like we always assume we're like okay they probably were stronger than first commanders, but now it's like how high is their peak? If Vegapunk, someone who has more credibility than just about anyone when it comes to science, or is the most credible scientist we've seen, at least in the story. I'm sure there's guys back in the Ancient Kingdom who are really good or just as good as him. But the fact that Vegapunk is able to say, oh yeah, these are the most powerful beings in the history of the sea. They could be, potentially. Um, Obviously they haven't reached that pinnacle yet, but they all have Delphros, they all have Lunarian DNA, they have they probably have the Eternal Flame as well. So it's like we haven't even really got to see them all use their Lunarian side, right? Like well, you saw what made King really impressive is the Flame on and all that stuff. He has that. I wonder how it will be when they get to turn the flame off and they need the speed mode. And they already gonna have more durability on top of that because they're Lunarians and they have robotics. So they're like robot Lunarian children. So when they grow up, they're gonna be insanely powerful, right? So that's something to think about. And at the end of the chapter, Lucci ends up taking control of the other Seraphim. Sorry about stuttering there. Um, and so after Luffy and the gang they get away, they actually rocket up to the top to where the rest of the crew are in 32 seconds with one of Vegapunk's designs. That's pretty cool. But it's looking crazy for the Straw Hats now because I think a lot of us when we just saw that the CP0 was there, we were kind of like, okay, like how are we supposed to make the danger here? And then we also see Luffy beat up on Lucci, so we know they're not on the same league. So maybe Lucci will fight someone else the second time because I think it'd be kind of beating a dead horse if Luffy keeps beating up on Lucci like that. Um, but now we see CP0 has control of all of the Seraphims, and at the end of the chapter, we have an amazing hype panel of Kizaru, who honestly, I have a rant about Kizaru and Greenland and stuff at the end, but Kizaru is talking about, hey, they think they're gonna get away easily. The Straws teamed up with Vegapunk, but they have another thing coming. We have a plan. He just seems so cool, calm, and collected. This is the energy that I've always wanted from an admiral. I mean, he's always had this, but I think this is really what separates the OG3 from the two new admirals. I think he's coming with the whole fleet. He's cool. He's calm. He knows what they can do. He knows they beat Kaido, and he also was ready to go in Wano and make sure Big Mom and Kaido didn't meet up. So this is a real one. Like I think people really kind of underestimate how powerful Kizaru is. I don't think we've ever really seen him go to his fullest capacity. Kizaru is a real one, and I'm excited to see what he's gonna do this arc. I wonder who's gonna be on the ship with him. Since he said it's a whole fleet, he said bring as many ships as possible. So literally, they're gonna bring a full brunt attack to Egghead Island on top of the Seraphim, on top of CP0. So this is really going to start and turn into an all-out battle right off the bat. I think they might end up leaving, especially if the numbers are too great. If they have multiple vice admirals, they're going to have the Seraphim ready, who are insanely powerful in their own right, plus an admiral, plus Lucci. We don't really know how much Stussy and Kaku can do, but Stussy seems like a veteran, and Kaku's going to be pretty powerful as well. Who knows? Maybe he might have in the Wicked Zone as well too, unless they want to keep that gap between Lucci and Kaku as well. But end of the day, we had a really good chapter, and unfortunately, it's not an official break, but I think it's going to be a holiday break coming up soon. So I don't know if we're going to get a chapter next week. I haven't got much information on that. But if there will be a chapter next week, I will be covering it, and if not, I will try to make sure to get a video out. Sorry about the break from the last time, but at the end of the day, good chapter. I'd give it a 8.5 to 9 out of 10. I appreciate you guys for watching this video today. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Calvin the Goat signing out. Have a good day, guys.